everyone, and welcome to the third edition of the Microsoft AI Factory, dedicated to Agrifood Tech in partnership with Danone. I'm Laura Nisana, Program Manager of the AI Factory, and I will be your host today, jointly with Damien.
And yes, I'm Damien Jourdan, Open Innovation Lead at Danone, and I'm really so happy to be here with you, Laura, for this final Demoday event. It's really exciting that we are actually here and we actually made it to run the full program virtually, to assemble our teams remotely, and to run most of the pilots despite this COVID year. And actually even to finish on the eve of the new lockdown in France. So now let me pass on the mic to Mathieu for a further few words.
Thank you, Damien, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mathieu Lhomme. I'm the Director for Strategic Transformation at Danone, and I would like to tell you a few words of why Danone has decided to join Microsoft to create this AI factory for agri-food. In fact, it all starts with a belief that more than ever, big corporations have a responsibility to take the lead on solving the many challenges that we are collectively facing today. Climate change, inequality, inclusiveness, health issues, to name a few. However, leading does not mean doing it alone. On the contrary, we believe that in fact that nothing can and will be done unless we work in network and in vast alliances with government, other companies, NGOs, and investors. And most importantly, we won't solve our world issues unless we support the emergence and the development of problem solvers, innovators, dreamers, those that in startups are taking career and financial risks for a cause they believe in and for a dream they want to come true. Microsoft and Danone are partners in many ways and are both leading organizations in corporate responsibility. They both have a strong commitment to work for a better future. And with this accelerator, our common goal is to support those amazing innovators, which for some will bring the solutions we need to our collective challenges. Now, of course, it has been quite a bumpy road with COVID. And I want to really salute our 6 startups, the Microsoft teams, the Danone teams, that have made this work and that have made this possible. In particular, I would like to thank Damien, who has been the program lead on the Danone side, and who with the Open Inno team of Danone and the operational teams in our factories with our farmers, has done an amazing job in leading us to this demo day. So thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. I wish you all a very good demo day. And with that, I hand over to Laura, who will introduce our sponsors.
Thank you, Mathieu. Indeed, this program was made possible as we have great leaders at Microsoft and Danone who believe in the power of innovation, entrepreneurship, and above all, who believe that mixing startups with corporate is the way to achieve adaptation and reinvention in our fast-changing world. As the best way to introduce our pitch sequence, let me introduce you to Agnès. So she were not able to join us in direct today, but she has few words to share with you.
Good afternoon and welcome for this Demo Day AI Factory for Agri-Food. My name is Agnès Van de Waal. I'm the OCP lead for Microsoft France. OCP stands for One Commercial Partner, meaning that I'm in charge of all the ecosystem of partners for France, from startups to global SI. And here we are today for this great event with 6 startups that have been working a lot during those last months to present today their project around AI and around agri-food. But first, let's come back on AI Factory and what was exactly this initiative that we have launched a few years ago. The idea was really to help startups around the topics of intelligent artificial, to help them to sustain their activity, to demystify all AI projects and see how we can help them to have a sustainable project and economical project in the future. We then decide to focus on certain industries. So we have done that for health, we have done that for finance. And here we are now on agri-food with a great partner, which is Danone. And we are very proud to have one of the most important actors of this agri-food industry with us for this initiative. So today, those 6 startups are going to pitch for you their project. And here we are. It's a very important time for us. We are going to help them in the future to make them becoming even bigger. Thanks for being here. Have a great time.
So let me introduce you to our first startup led by Hamza, co-founder of Sowit. So during the program, they worked on implementing precision agriculture at one of Danone's Moroccan farms, with the objective of improving the quality of maize harvest as a local source of feed for cattle. It's an amazing work that Hamza will present you now.
Hello, everyone. So Sowit is a company that provides decision support tools for African farmers. And I have a simple question for you. How far is Spain from Morocco? Actually, it's only 10 miles. But when we compare yields, it is actually thousands of miles ahead if we were especially to compare olive trees yields. One of the main reasons is the lack or even absence of reliable and actionable information when the African farmer is facing the most critical operations, such as irrigation, fertilization, or simply harvest. Today, we decided to deal with one of the specific issues that the African forage farmer is facing, harvest. When to harvest is critical to get the right premiums on the market and then to be able also to reduce waste. At Sowit, we have been providing farmers with many decision support tools. So in order to be able to provide value all over the season, fertilization optimization, precision irrigation, plot inspection, yield estimation, or harvest planning. It is critical to allow also African farmers to get access to simple solutions that are also precise and accurate, operational on the ground, but also leveraging all the power of AI. Sowit relies on multiple technologies to build precise and reliable decision support tools for farmers. We are positioned in between research centers and leading industry pioneers in order to be able to operationalize the technology directly on the ground and to make it available for as many farmers as possible. Our unique combination of technologies relies on leading agronomy, remote sensing, mainly drone and satellite remote sensing that enables high-end precision in correlating the field reality with the remote sensing one. And finally, integrated advice to the farm machinery. What matters is that it is actionable enough for the farmer to take advantage of it. We decided within the AI factory to address one of the most important challenge of forage farmer, harvest. Maize forage farmers find it very hard to produce the right quality feed. First, the plot heterogeneity affects the feed quality. As you can see in the picture, some areas are ready to harvest, but some are not. So how to plan my harvest in order to get the best quality and then get premium on the markets from dairy producers? From the other hand, we have also problems related to managing the harvesters. Subcontractors come, but you need to coordinate with them ahead. If not, they come too early or too late, and you end up generating waste, which is a loss for your farm. Within the AI factory framework, we accelerated our solution, enabling farmers to plan the harvest, then 10 days ahead, and at the same time to manage the heterogeneity within the field in order to start harvest at the right location, get the right quality, and then write premiums on the market while reducing their waste. These results were achieved thanks to heavy work on the field. First, we needed to collect hundreds, thousands of hectares of data in order to be able, from a massive remote sensing work, to observe maize with different sensors in different conditions. Secondly, we needed heavy ground truthing, which is getting the field reality to confront it to remote sensing and to get very close when we are estimating. And finally, we needed lab analysis in order to check the consistency of the algorithms in different soil, weather, genetic conditions. All this work that was achieved over the 3-4 months required a dedicated team that worked from one hand in the labs, from the other on the ground. This dedicated team was composed of people from Danone company, mainly Damien, Anko, and Sad, and Mustafa also, that were not only managing the project, but also the field, getting us to have access. Microsoft, so mainly Alexandra, Pauline, Laura, Charlotte, that helped in scaling and accelerating the innovation. In Rkha, that provide high-end advice in the beginning in order to be able to target the right AI given our constraints in terms of data access and also in terms of connectivity in Africa. And last but not least, the farm team. Here, 3 of them, but they were 12, helping us to get to the farm at the right time, at the right crop stage, taking the right measurements in order to be able in 3 months to achieve what we usually do in 2 years or 3. And Sowit team that was dedicated also to the success of this project. The farm manager in the farm in which we work said as a testimony that getting the result on his office, meaning the result of when to harvest and how to do it, while sitting as the office was impressive. The results were coherent with the observation, and they even helped them knowing better their land. SoDry made farmers earn in the cooperative in southern Morocco and in also central Morocco by measurement more than 160 euros per hectare in net added margin, simply by planning right the harvest date, getting the right quality, reducing waste, and managing subcontractors and logistics. This represents for African maize forage producers alone an added potential revenue of more than 100 million euros. Today, we believe that we can scale up the use of SoDry in other countries. That's why we are working with a partner in Tunisia in order to get the right data so that the AI is ready to deliver also there, but also in Russia, over which we are working in a farm in order to scale it. As you can see in the demo here, it's very simple. When the farmer asks when to harvest, it's very hard to know. Some areas are ready, some are not. So he can directly go on our website, select the area. This is actually one of the farm we already work in, and simply inform some basic information on the variety or soil type. And then he will be able also to select one of the people on the ground that will simply receive a text message alert or vocal note, so that the service is available not only for farm managers, but also for people on the ground that don't have access to web applications or mobile app. When getting the results, they get a map with the level of dry matters in the different area. It's very important to know because you know when to harvest, but also where to begin the harvest. So they can then do some modifications to adapt to the machinery, as you can see, considering that their farm is heterogeneous and that the farm needs to be managed in different ways depending on the level of dry matter, which is very important and that we look forward optimizing. Then they can save it, and automatically the person on the ground will receive an alert when it is time to harvest. At the same time, the mobile app enables the farm manager to receive and track constantly the level of dry matter, enabling them, the manager, to get the right quantity of his feed. The objective is then reached, which is reducing waste and increasing productivity. Service is live in Morocco, 40 euros per hectare, and we already have 1,000 of hectares subscribing, and we are then ready to move and provide the service in other regions of the world. As a conclusion, I would say that Africa is the last growth frontier, with more than half of still available land and massive room for productivity improvement. We believe African farmers are key to sustainably overcome the worldwide food challenge, and that is why we work hand in hand with them. Thanks to the AI factory, the whole team proved that we could go much faster when developing AI, when we are properly feeding it with the right data, and this requires the right partnerships. Secondly, that African farmers could really benefit from high-end solution when made simple and adapted to their intervention capacity. No machinery, so we need zoning, we need text message, we need vocal notes. And finally, but last but not least, corporate startup partnerships are highly effective and efficient when management around is right, and when we have, from one hand, the right ownership, and from the other, the right bias for action. Thanks to the AI factory for providing us the opportunity to accelerate our solution, we acquired our first customers and are today scaling this solution across different territories.
Thank you very much, Hamza. So we have already a few questions for you. The first one is, what is the source of your weather data at GPS point?
That's a good question. We actually have two sources of data. First are local weather stations. They can come from the farm, but we have also a network, for example, of more than 300 weather stations that are already set up there because of our partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture in Morocco. Secondly, we have satellite data. satellite data that are provided by two providers, one in the US, one in Switzerland, and that's enabled to get to the evapotranspiration. These sources of data are fundamental to be able to predict the harvest date.
Okay, second question. How long does it take to develop and adapt your solution to new crops and geography?
So when we have access to a minimal historical data, meaning 1 or 2 years of data, and farmers have been measured the yields and the dry matter, we can go very fast and in a couple of months being able to operationalize it with the right precision, meaning 10 days before harvest, less than 5% error margin compared to the lab. However, if we were, for example, to operate in Zambia or Kenya, we would maybe need 1 or 2 seasons because of lack of historical data and lack of reliable weather data.
Okay, and last question. On a distant future, could those adaptations be automatized?
Yes, actually, they are already being automatized because we have two essential aspects. First, calibration is now partly delegated to farmers as they provide us input information or connect us to their weather station or simply to their harvesters. We directly calibrate the algorithms on the go and it's completely automatized, so no need for this heavy workload. Second aspect of it is that we have access to global databases that enable them to get an information that will help crossing from one territory to the other around historical information on soils, for example, or on weather. So I would say that it is simply a matter of running it on a large basis, not on thousands of hectares, but of maybe hundreds of thousands to get this rolling out and with the right precision.
Thank you very much, Hamza. If you want to meet Hamza for a special discussion, please register for the networking session with the link in the chat. Now I'm happy to introduce you to François Vallée, Communication and Marketing Director at Comerso. And François will present you their objective of POC, which is to automate the creation of product mixes that optimize the valorization of unsold goods and channel them to the right customer, discounters or charity. Your turn, François.
Okay, thank you. Really glad to be here tonight. Effectively, we will talk about zero waste and stock management. So just to start, did you know that FAO considers that the third of the world's food is today wasted each year? So if waste was a country, it would be the third largest polluter just behind China and USA. One of the biggest difficulty is that waste is diluted throughout the whole chain food. And this problem is much more wider than food, in fact, as it also concerns other businesses sectors, high-tech, cosmetics, and also other sectors. So Comerso purpose today is to inspire and support organizations to transform waste in resources for a responsible and sustainable world. So who are we? Comerso was created in 2013 by Pierre-Yves Pasquier, who is the next Danone, and Rémi Gilbert, who is the next BPI France. Our team expertise today is focused on tech data, retail industries, and circular economy. We are acting everywhere in France today, thanks to our wide network of circular partners. So if you can go next slide, please. So what are we doing? Comerso is a unique platform for businesses to add value to unsold goods and waste. Our solution is made of 4 channels of optimization. So first channel, CD Stock, which is our destocking marketplace. It's VP-like, if you want, focused 100% on B2B. We have Cedon, which is an all-in-one solution to optimize charity donations. We have Cevalo, which is a bio-waste valuation solution. And to end, we have Cestat, which is a data visualization platform for management. And all those solutions delivers impact for our businesses. So if you can go just after, please. We bring 3 CSR impacts to our customers. Obviously, economic impact, as all our customers save more than 26 million euros per year altogether. And each day, our social impact is about 120k meals delivered to charities, which is about 60 tons of goods saved from bins each day. So what about our actual partnerships? Today, we are working with Microsoft since 2017. We begin in a Hackfest, in fact, and today we are working with the full Microsoft Azure stacks. On Danone sites, we are working for 3 years now, and yeah, sorry. Okay, we are working for 3 years now, and with all business units. We are operating 100% of the Danone donation flows in France. And historically, we work on large volumes flows, and here we save more than 5,000 pallets, mainly daily and water products. And this month, we just have plugged our new solution dedicated to logistic basis. It's a solution based on IoT. And with this process, we plan to save about 200 tons of goods per year. Okay, so about POC, COVID context unfortunately limited the time of our IT team. So what we did, we mainly focused AE factory program on the design and value products to validate that our idea totally fits Danone needs. So what we want to achieve is to enhance overstocks management and valuation. Danone's stake is simple and obvious. It's to reach the best overstock valuation. So if we have a look today on the actual process, it's going through 2 steps. First, destocking, and then charity donation. But those 2 processes are actually splitted, so economic arbitrage is complex. If we focus on destocking, it is our task to be done each day. Danone destock teams have to deal with a lot of stakeholders. Negotiation with them is really time consuming. Volumes are unpredictable. And all this destock process is made by hand today. If we have a look on the donation process, we manage it today, Comerso, but it's not connected to SAP. So we can go further about anticipation. So to answer Danone's need, we want to launch the first user interface to enhance overstocks valuation based on AI. Rather than having 2 processes, we want to target one simple interface based on AI to operate destocking and donation. So if you can push just to, yes, thank you. So this model, our model, will be based on machine learning feeds such as unsold goods sales historicals, but also obviously pricing, margins, shelf life products. We can even imagine weather forecasts. So the main benefits we are targeting are productivity enhancement, easier and faster decision operation, overstock routing optimization, and easier management with data visualization. And the unique goal of this model is to maximize economic and social impacts. About our business model, we will have a SaaS business model. Okay. So if you can go to end. So as a conclusion, AI Factory program was for us a huge opportunity to build an expert team around the project, and we are now deeply convinced of the potential and added value for Danone. So next step now is to validate the funding to go further on the project. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. So we have a question. With which of the partners could your solution be applied?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Our solution is mainly dedicated to destock and donation teams in Danone. But we can imagine that our model tomorrow can work and also on manufacturing sites directly or logistic basis to better manage waste also. We are today focused on unsold goods, but we think that this model tomorrow could also work for waste management.
Okay. Thank you, François. No more questions.
Thank you very much.
So thanks, François. If you want to meet François, please register for the networking session. Again, the link is in the chat. And now I'm happy to introduce Jean-Marc. He's the CEO of Connectera. And Connectera's objective during this acceleration was to test and implement a combination of IoT on cows with satellite imaging to track and support cow grazing by farmers as key practice towards sustainable farming. So the pilot is starting in a few weeks, and we're looking forward to discovering it. So up to you, Jean-Marc.
So hi, so I'm Jean-Marc from Connectera. And I will jump into how we can help dairy farmers in adopting more regenerative agriculture practices. Yeah, so we are a Dutch company created 5 years ago, and we have launched a solution called IDA that is based on artificial intelligence. We create daily insights to help dairy farmers to be more productive and more sustainable. So that can be on cow health, that can be on cow welfare, reproduction, feed management, and any good practice that the farmer wants to implement, and where we as IDA can provide feedback and recommendations. We already have a strong partnership with Danone, both in Europe and in the US. We are part of the Farming for Generation consortium, and our technology is already running on some of the best-in-class Danone dairy farms in the US. And we are now extending in Europe in Q4 with Danone. Starting point of this POC is to see that both ends of the supply chain, so farming on one side and consumer on the other side, now are starting to resonate together. On one side, consumers are changing their perception of product quality, and on the other side, farmers are being asked to change the way they farm. And the very good news is that both ends now are meeting. That means quality for the consumer means locally produced, that from brands that support farmers, from free-range cows, and exactly that sustainability on farm refers exactly to the same. So that's good news. And referring to that context, the objective of the POC is to optimize grazing on farm. So answer a few questions, from the very simple questions such as Rkha grazing. Of course, the farmer knows if his cows are grazing, but not the whole supply chain. How long, when, so when during the day, when during the month. We also want to ease the feed management for the farmer, meaning finding the sweet spot for optimal grazing periods regarding optimized milk production. And we also want to provide an assessment tool for Danone regarding grazing assessment. And referring to the both end of the supply chain I was mentioning, we can improve transparency and communication till the consumer. Yeah, so the POC, as Solène you mentioned, is starting in a few weeks in a German farm located in the center of Germany, 150 dairy cow farm, where we will be able to collect two data sets. One data sets from satellite images, and one directly on the farm through cow behaviors and key events on the farm. On the farm data, we will be able to track different KPIs related to grazing. So first of all, how many cows are grazing? On some farms, you can see that only dry cows, so cows in transition before calving, go on pasture. On other ones, the full herd goes on pasture. And then we can drill down into a number of hours grazing per month, within the day, per group of cows, so that the farmer can also make some tests on grazing. Thanks to satellite images, we are able to identify which type of land the farmer has. So is it barren, is it grassland? And we are able also to track some events such as mowing and sowing. And from this information, we are then able to analyze which fields have been grazed and which fields and when, and which fields are not being grazed. And then, if you take into account the number of cows on farm, we are then able to deliver a kind of assessment of approval if the farm is a grazing farm or not, which is very important in some countries regarding milk price, for example, that get a premium for grazing cows, or increasingly important for the consumer, as I just mentioned. Then, last, we will combine data both from satellite and on the ground from the field to help the farmer take some decision. For example, we will have rumination data from the cows. We will have a number of cows that were grazing and the quantity of grazing they had, and matching that with the milk production, we are then able to provide to the farmer some advice, some recommendation on where and when it is better to let his cows graze on pasture. Besides the benefits for the farmer, we also see some big value on the consumer side. So this is a US product, and sorry because this is not anymore in the Danone portfolio, but it is a product that clearly shows you an increasingly interest from the consumer and a clear link between quality and sustainability. This yogurt is marketed as high quality and high sustainability. And grazing cows are being one of the link of this link between quality and sustainability. But consumer need proof point, not only a claim, but a proof point. And this is where the data that we are collecting can chime in. I will finish with the next step. So start of the pilot is about to be launched in the coming weeks. We will have most of the results after peak of grazing season, which, as you know, is more during spring and summer. And we will then be able to assess which is the most efficient and, let's say, valuable technology path. Is it satellite image alone? Is it cow technology, so on the field, and probably a combination of both? We will be able also to share with the Danone cycle and procurement team what kind of benefits they can expect from that. So savings, time saving, and savings on audits, grazing audits. Also some tools to ease the transition or the improvement on grazing for the farmer, and some improvement on regenerative agriculture KPIs, such as the reduction of carbon footprint of farm. And in the end, of course, the ultimate way to finance this transition is also to have a consumer willing to pay a premium for those new farm practices. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. So we wait for questions. If you have some, don't hesitate to put it in the chat. Okay, so one, can you precise why grazing is so important for farm sustainability?
Yeah, alors, two different answers actually, but this is a good question because the consumer is not always aware of all the benefits beyond grazing. When you let cow graze, the manure, so the manure of the cow, actually gets on the ground and you get more fertile ground. So you get a better soil health, and in the end also more carbon sequestration. You improve your welfare score of animals, which is part of the sustainability also. And the third benefit is the more you graze, the less hassle you have regarding farming, the more time saving for the farmer, and in the end also less feed to purchase outside.
Okay.
So financial, animal welfare, and soil health are the three key pillars, key benefits.
Okay, very clear. Thank you. We have another question for you. How would you show your proof points to the customer?
Very good question. This is still to be made. although we already started some discussion within the Danone group. Here, I guess the blockchain technology could really help, as we provide real-time data on how cows are behaving, how cows are grazing. So we could easily imagine some let's say some QR code or some level of information for the consumer that could lead to a very real-time information on the welfare score of cows.
Okay, so I take the last one. How do you see the impact on milk pricing optimization reaching the milk buyers?
Milk buyers are being the retail, I guess, or the milk buyers from Danone.
Maybe Christophe, if you want to clarify, who do you mean by the milk buyers?
Okay, let's take it from the retail point of view.
The beginning. How do you see the impact on milk pricing optimization?
Alors, the milk pricing. Referring to the previous question, feed cost can drop by optimizing the grazing. So in that sense, the milk price, the milk cost of production can drop through an optimization of grazing. Then you have, and as I said, on some countries, you have 1-2 cents additional per liter of milk paid to the farmer if he is effectively grazing his cows. And this, again, has to be valorized to the consumer because someone has to pay for that premium price. And so in the end, that's where the project of bringing this information till the consumer and really proof points and not only claims is very important for the future to justify and to build a more let's say concrete and serious use case around the milk price.
Okay, maybe one last question and a quick answer. How are you going to measure benefits for the farmers?
So benefit for the farmers, as we analyze a lot of data on farm. Among them is the milk production. So we will have a direct link between rumination of cow, milk production, and how they are grazing. So milk yield is one. Second benefit will be on animal welfare. It's not financial benefit, but in the end, if cows are more happy, let's say in brackets, they will get less ill, so less disease. If they go more on grazing, for example, they will have less infections. So in the end, that's another saving for the farmer.
Okay, I let you answer on the chat. They answered you on your comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now I'm happy to really this time introduce you to Rodolph Vogt, the CEO of M-Cador. And as I said earlier, but I'm going to repeat myself, the goal was to pilot visual recognition technology on Danone lines to automate quality inspection on products that are currently human-made. 3 pilots are currently ongoing in dairy and water plants. So let's see the results.
Hello everyone, thank you very much for attending this presentation. So yes, my name is Rodolph Vogt, I'm co-founder and CEO of M-Cador, and today we're going to talk about computer vision for quality control and how we bring automation to the plant of Danone. So the first thing, I just want to say a few words about us so you understand what's our technology. So we're doing computer vision to automate visual inspection tasks. So any task a human operator will check, like quality control, looking for defects, counting some objects, we're using our technology, which is smart cameras, to assist or to replace the human eyes in those controls. So why those cameras are smart? Because you can train them to recognize virtually anything. It can be defects, it can be object, it can be a tray on a pallet, it can be a lot of things. So we install smart camera like on production line mostly, but also underwater, indoor, outdoor, on train. So it's a very scalable solution. So the second point about us, which is interesting, is like we're using small data. So you probably already hear about big data. So we take like the opposite way, because in quality control, when you want to train an AI artificial intelligence algorithm, you don't usually have a lot of defects, because the goal of a factory, of a plant, is not to produce defect to train smart cameras. So you have like a very few sample where you can base your smart cameras on. So we're working on that field when data are limited, and we're working on reliability. To be able to work in field like transport, aeronautics, pharma, and now food with Danone. So we've been pitching, our technology to many people in Danone, in Spain, in France, in Belgium, in Poland, in Turkey, and we've been able to have like a lot of interest about the technology, and we decide to go for 3 locations, 2 in Poland and 1 in Spain near Barcelona. And the goal was really to do automating quality control check and procedure. So it was really the main topics each time. So you might say, okay, like it's 3 locations, is that not a bit a lot for one POC? So yes and not really, because it's one technology with many applications. So computer vision is always the same thing. It just can apply to a lot of various conditions. And when you think about it, operators in Danone plants are facing the same challenge, wherever they are on EDP, on dairy products, or if they are on water, like they always have to check the same thing, like expiry date, tray counting on pallet, packaging conformity, all those kind of check, and there is a lot of them, are usually the same from like one plant to another, which makes those subjects very scalable and very interesting to investigate. So we're gonna focus on Gelesnia, which is like the plant we've been focusing on for the presentation, and we've been lucky enough to travel a few times there to look at the current state of quality control there, and to give you a few metrics about it, it's like 1 water pack produced every second. So that's a line that produces a lot of elements. And to do the quality control, of course, you cannot put one operator for every pack. So they do some sample check. So every hour to every 8 hours, they will select one sample randomly and they will look for defects. You might understand why some defects are going, because of course it's difficult to look at all of them. So they had like 56 reported issues in 2019, and an issue have to be taken seriously, because that can be something sharp on the bottle that can hurt someone, or something that affects the branding of Danone. So it's very important for the plant to improve our quality process. So next slide, please. So what we decide to do is we decide to deploy the smart cameras on one point of the C3 line there, and you have like a camera on the right of the image, and those cameras can check like those water pack from every angle, from the top, the front, the back, the side, and to be able to detect the ABC parameter. So the A, everything is fine, B, there is something but we can still sell it, and C, we should remove that product from the line and we should find a solution about it. So those cameras in real time have the job to detect those defects. So like there is a lot of data we've been produced, obviously thousands of images per hour, because there is one every second. And the goal is to find like the few ones where there is a problem. So for example, a misplaced handle, or like a ripped handle, or a fallen product, or a product with cracks, or everything like that. So that's the job of like the deep learning and the AI algorithm inside the smart cameras. And we can see a bit about the key results of the project. So for the POC, we decide to go after 14% of control points, and we are in the process of automating those 14% points. So all the looking for some specific points on the water pack gonna be automated versus before like checked by an operator. We're gonna make them save 60 minutes in average at least on the detection of defects, because we're checking every second, every water pack. And before they were checking a water pack every hour or 8 hours, like they were not able to find the defect right away. And now it's not something that's going to be possible. And the third point is like there will be like 100% exhaustivity in the control and traceability. So they're going to be able to go back in time and look at what happened, why the production deviate or something like that. And there is a main point, like I really like, because when we visit the factory, the quality manager was like receiving reports every week from his team about the quality of the next week, of the next following day. And I was really thinking, oh, so we have to wait from someone that can do mistake or someone that can be late to himself do his job. But with this solution and those smart cameras controlling in real time, it will be able to have in a dashboard those real-time ABC parameter in real time, and you will be able to work directly without interference. So we're going to look at a short video, if we can. Yeah. So a short video of like the line for you to really understood where the camera are and what they're doing. So maybe we can fast forward a little. So this is the line, the C3 line, where the water pack going. We have like the pack was going like 1 frame per second, and you can see the image that the camera is taking, and that's the image which is being analyzed to detect different kind of defects. Okay, so you have dashboard with Power BI, like which is the tools the factory already use, and you have classification of defects, not yet the ABC, but now the AC. We do a binary classification, and you can, for the one who are more techie or like this kind of stuff, like you have like the output of the deep learning algorithm, which look for contour, texture, and color specific to detect different kind of defects. So this was in real time when we shoot the video. So we can go back on the next slide. So the next step is to do like a full POC evaluation, which means like we want to assess with the baseline of the operator doing the control. We want to see like if the system performing better or worse. And that's something very interesting if you are interested by that, because sometimes when we do that in other business, we do have like a case where like the smart camera detects stuff like pattern, for example, that was not detected before. So that's a point very interesting. So we can jump and finish by the end game. So of course I talk about 14% of automation, but in fact, if we equip the whole line in smart cameras, we can reach 56% of automation, and that's life-changing for like the plant. So it will allow decrease microstop, reduce of non-quality cost. We could replicate easily the smart camera on other line and other plants. We can like have a glimpse on predictive maintenance, and even refine the process in real time to prevent non-compliant product. So as you can see, it's not science fiction. Like computer vision is the first block to get to all those Industry 4.0 functionality. So just the last slide and I will be good. I just want to thank, especially like from the Danone team, Damien and Radek. Because of the COVID, it was very difficult to make the POC running, and they really work a lot for us to be able to install those cameras. So sometimes I was feeling they were working in the startup with me. So thank you very much. And if you have any question, please, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, Rodolph. Yes, we have a question. It's more a tech question. Mm-hmm. Are you looking to adapt your model from a consulting model to a SaaS one?
Okay, so in fact, we are a little bit in the middle of those models. So for the selling of the hardware and the installation of the hardware, we have like a consultancy model, like it's a services we provide. But after, like for like the running of the model, the maintenance, the upgrade, it's like more like a SaaS business model. So we are in both of them, and the target for like in 2 years or 3 years will be to have like more revenue coming from like the SaaS model than the services model.
Okay, and another question, how do you differentiate from competitors like Inspecto, etc.?
Yeah, so the main point is like small data. We are able to have our smart camera running and delivering results pretty quickly in a few weeks, just because we're using small data. So instead of just using like traditional deep learning like many company does and need a lot of data to train their model and to have like good results, we focus on synthetic data, data augmentation, everything that's going to allow us to be able to work with a small set of data. And that's the key differentiator.
Okay, thank you. No more question.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. There are still some slots available if you want to meet the startup in 1-1. so don't hesitate to register. Now let me present you the green data and its CEO, Jérémie Wainstain. So it was also a great collaboration with their team who built a prototype of a CO2 emission simulator, allowing to implement targeted action for the reduction of farms' emissions. So your turn, Jérémie.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Jérémie Wainstain. I'm the co-founder of The Green Data. So we are a company specialized in data treatment for agriculture and agribusiness. And our vision is that the food chains today are facing new issues based on a lot of uncertainties and new risks. So of course you have environmental new issues like biodiversity freeze, global warming, carbon impact reduction, and so on. But also you have economical issues like resilience, profitability, margin leaks, and you have to combine these two issues in a context that is becoming more and more uncertain. So this is why we believe in decision tool for food chains in order to ensure profitability, resilience, and uncertainty and sustainability in a world that is becoming more and more uncertain. So what we do is that we work with customers like big banks, big insurance companies, big cooperatives, agribusiness industries in a project mode. So first of all, we are like a data consulting company dedicated to food chains issues. We analyze the data. We work with internal team to identify opportunities of value creation, and after that, we make modelization and we develop smart and collaborative decision tools in order usually to ensure the relationship with the farmers and help at the farm level to have the farmers be more profitable, to have a better control of their risk, and help them to plan, for instance, agroecological transitions, and also internal tools that helps our customers to have a global piloting of their activity and to ensure a better control. And all of that work on the platform that we developed, and that helps collaboration and tools to work together based on the same KPI. So what we've done in the AI factory and the proof of concept, the brief actually was very open from the Danone teams, saying that how, based on our data from the dairy farm, how can you help us to accelerate the regenerative agriculture transition for our farmers? How can you help us to create new tools for our country manager, our farm managers, in order to leverage our data and using modelization to help accelerate transition? So what we've done is what we always do. First of all, we have gathered all the data that was available in Danone, and fortunately, actually, with the team cooperation that was extraordinary, we were able to gather a huge number of set of data coming from all the world, with all the different type of data, as you can see here: milk supply, economic data, herd data, CO2 data, welfare score. So you have a lot of data coming from thousands of farms and tens of countries, and so you have a lot of opportunities here to create decision tools. So we had to make choices, and we have decided to focus on CO2 data because we've identified opportunity in CO2 data in order to simulate emission of carbon of the dairy farms, and we discovered that Danone didn't have this type of simulation, and that these type of tools, this type of predictive tools on CO2 impact would have probably a great value and would lead to a lot of interesting use cases. So we have studied these CO2 data, and actually to evaluate the CO2 emission of a farm, you need today to have hundreds of questions, and based on the hundreds of questions, you create a score of emission. So that's very complex. It's not easy to use. So first thing we've done is that we have created a statistical engine that allowed us to decrease from 100 to 12 KPIs. So with 12 parameters, we are able to estimate quite precisely with a limited error CO2 emission of a farm, of a cluster of farm, or of a country. So that's really opened the door to a lot of new usage that can be very interesting for different different type of users in Danone. For instance, if I am a country manager of Spain, I could imagine to estimate the CO2 emission of all the farms in Spain, for instance, based on an evolution of a specific parameters, like, for instance, soil consumption. It's the same story at the cluster level, and it's the same story at the farm level. So using these few parameters, we're able to create a new engine, a new statistical engine that really changed the deal and opened the door to a new type of tool and very efficient new tool. So just to show you an example of a tool that we have developed here for the POC. I don't know if you see my screen. So for instance, I am a country manager. Does it work? Yeah, I am a country manager of Spain, and I want to estimate the evolution of CO2 emission in Spain. So I can see that in 5 years, I can match my target if the fat increase and if the yield increase of 10% and 20%. And if I want to change the scenario, for instance, if I want to go faster, I want to do it in 3 years instead of 5 years, then we can estimate, I would say, the path and the trajectory of the CO2 emission based on the evolution of these parameters. And this type of simulation, we can do it at a cluster level. So here you can see the same thing in Catalonia. And you can do it also at the farm level. So I can go down and go directly to a farm and show to the farmer that in his farm, then this is a trajectory that he can expect in terms of CO2 evolution. So now we have this statistical engine. Of course, it can be improved. But the next step that we see, the next step that we see now in our collaboration with Danone is, first of all, to improve and deploy the CO2 model for different type of user in the group, as you have seen, country managers, farm relationship managers, or directly farmers, maybe to have decision tools that are dedicated to the farmers, and also extend this model to other type of KPI based on the same approach. So for instance, soil health, manure management, biodiversity, and water. And finally, go toward a big simulation of regenerative agriculture transition that we would be able to simulate for the next years. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We have a question. Can you give an indication of price for the technology?
It depends how much you buy, how many users you buy. No, I mean the price. Well, I mean, we have a business model that is separated in two. So we have it's like M-Cador. I mean, we have consulting and analysis services. So this is, I mean, these are projects that start with 20 or 30,000 euros, and that can go to I don't know, hundreds of euros. It really depends on the type of analysis that you want. And after that, we can industrialize this technology, and we have a per user license fee. And this per user license fee is really dependent on the number of users. Just to give you an approach, we have customer where we have an average of 100 euro per month per user for instance, consulting companies. I don't know if it's a good answer, but I mean, we are in a very custom made approach, so prices really depend on the project size, actually.
Okay, thank you. We have three more questions. So the first one, do you think possible to go from the CO2 at the farm to the CO2 at the fork? EU at the level of the product bought by the consumer?
That's a good question. I think that it would be not very difficult because I think that the main difficulty today in the CO2 emission where you have a agricultural product is to estimate the CO2 emission in the field. And after that, to estimate the CO2 to the fork, including transportation, etc., seems for me really quite easier. So I would say yes.
Okay, so the other question, I like very much the ability to identify statistically significant KPIs and the simulation tool. How much effort do we need to expend to economics?
How much, sorry? Effort?
Efforts.
I don't understand the question. You need to?
How much effort do we need to expend to economics?
I don't.
Okay, I let you maybe answer by chat, if it's clearer by chat. And just the last one, what is the timing you foresee for this extended modeling? Is this still part of the POC or a follow-up trajectory?
It's a follow-up trajectory. The POC has been designed really to focus on the CO2 emission with the first engine, and we wanted to prove the feasibility and the usability and the value. But of course, that's just the proof of concept. So now we have to go further. We have to go deep, and is a post-POC story.
Okay, thank you very much. I let you answer by chat for the next questions.
Many thanks, Jérémie. Again, and last time, you can still register for the networking session. Don't hesitate if you want to meet the startups. And to conclude this great session of pitches, let me introduce you to our last startup, Flowlity. So Jean-Baptiste Clouard is the CEO and founder of Flowlity. And so they piloted the Flowlity solution in Danone, specialized nutrition factory in the Netherlands, to optimize the inventory for several SKUs. And Jean-Baptiste will now show you their amazing work. And careful, Jean-Baptiste, you're in mute.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Solène. Good evening, everybody. I'm very pleased today to present to you what we have been doing with Danone. So Flowlity is a SaaS solution, a software that is optimizing inventories. So by using AI and acting as a third party. And so that's what I will explain to you, what we have been doing in this proof of concept. Okay, going too fast. So we had two objectives when we started this proof of concept. One was to reduce inventories, and two was to really digitize the replenishment process. So we chose one factory, and the factory we focused on is the apps factory. It's close to Nijmegen in the Netherlands, and we chose also a limited scope. So we worked on raws and packs, so raw materials, for 3 suppliers: DS Smith, DSM, Ardagh, and it was in total 27 products, so 27 SKUs. And the goal for those products was really to try to find the optimal position in between a certain inventory position and a certain service level. And so to do that, we had a team that all worked together, Danone, Microsoft, and Flowlity team. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank very much everybody that has been working on this topic. Let me jump right now to the findings, to the conclusion, and then I will explain how we arrived to those findings. So what we did is that we simulated the impact of using Flowlity for 6 months in the apps factory. And what we have been able to show is a 17 to 28% inventory reduction in average for the 6 first months of simulation. And we projected that we can go up to 28 to 40% inventory reduction. What you can see in the graph is the blue line is the Danone inventory, and the green line, or light green line, is what would have happened by using Flowlity. And now the big question is, okay, this is a lot of reduction. So how do you achieve this kind of results? Huh? So that's the big question. So let me go through the different steps and what we do at Flowlity and the different part of our solution. The first part is what we call forecast as a service. So basically what we do is that we are doing a very good forecast of consumptions or of products and raw materials. We have an approach that is different from the classical approach, which we call MRP based, which is basically forecasting the finished good products, then doing some kind of calculations that we call the MRP. What we do is flow based approach. So we are for each entity in the network forecasting what is the consumption and what should be the lead times. And based on that, so we are accurately assessing what should be the stock to position. In terms of what our findings are in this part, what we have been able to show is that we have greatly improved the forecasting accuracy of the raw materials at Danone in this scope. We have achieved a 79% accuracy on the 3 months cumulated and 67 at 6 months. And you can see the comparison in between what we are doing, which is like the dark blue one, and what Danone is doing, which is the light blue one. And basically, if you are 100%, it means that you can accurately predict the future. If you have 79%, it means that 79% of the time we are very close to predict the future. So this is really good results, and that was one of the first reason why we were able to show this improvement. The second step is what we call the planning as a service, which is basically using this forecast and using the uncertainty of this forecast to dynamically position buffers and safety stocks in the chain and change them to really assess what are the risks and have the right inventory at the right time at any time. It gives a lot of agility to the company. And so that's what we call dynamic safety stock and replenishment. So we are using AI to really dynamically assess those stocks. And let me give you an example. So for example, this is a product. The blue line is the actual consumption. So you can see it's really, really erratic. I mean, you have big spikes, but the purple line is what we have been able to predict. And based on this prediction, we have simulated the inventories that we should have. And this is basically the green line. So this is for a single SKU. What you can see is there is a big difference for this SKU, which is an example in between the blue line and the green line, which is basically the difference in between static safety stocks and dynamic buffers, dynamic safety stocks, which is what we do. The last thing is that, as I said, Flowlity is a network, and so we are connecting Danone with their suppliers and acting as a third party. We synchronize both parties. We get the full visibility, and we can much more efficiently assess what inventory should be kept by both parties. And by doing that, we simulated that we can achieve 12% additional inventory reduction. So it was on top of the 17 I was talking about. Well, we can even go further and add 12.4% of inventory on top of it. What I didn't mention is that we are also able to reduce stock out, which is interesting. So we are at the same time reducing inventories and reducing shortages. So now let me show the product and how it works concretely. So we did the simulation. Now what we did is we integrated the data into Flowlity, the product. I just need to click on play, or is it going to? Is it starting? Yes. So this is Flowlity. This is a planning tool. What you can see on the top are the different alerts that I have. So I have certain products where I'm going to be out of stock in the future or below the minimum and above maximum. And what I want to do is take proactively actions so that I can react and avoid issues. So I'm clicking on the product. And what I see here is the blue line is the projected inventories in the future. And my role, my game, is to try to make sure that I'm always staying in between my red and green light at any moment in time. So I'm changing the quantities there, and I see that I'm fulfilling certain constraints like the MOQ, for example, or the lot sizes, and I'm trying to change those replenishment quantities so that I'm always staying in between this dynamic min and max or funnel. Of course, I'm doing that manually for the purpose of the demo. A lot of things can be automated. when I'm done with the planning part, what I do is that I'm going in the order part. So automatically it generates recommendations of orders. So that could be seen as purchase requisitions. We can see what are the groupings. We can filter. That's what I'm going to do there. Filter on the groupings or the orders that I want to focus on. For example, BB2. For example, I'm seeing that I can group together the orders, so I will be able, like for example, to group together. And the goal is really that I'm building sensible, let's say, purchase requisition. I can see the different constraints like full truckload. I can add new orders. I can change the status when I'm done. I can validate the order. So this is my second module, which is my order module. And then my third module is my demand module. And the demand is really about the forecast. I'm trying to assess for a single product. And I'm just selecting a product here, going back in the past. And for this product, I'm trying to assess, what were the sales and what are our forecasts. And we can see on this product here, for example, the accuracy of Flowlity compared to other type of forecast. I'm just going to stop there, and I will move to the next slide. Maybe you may wonder, how does it work in practice? How do I move to the next slide? Yeah, is it working?
Yeah, just click on the.
Okay, so the question is, how can we work with the existing ERP, which is SAP? Actually, we are not at all replacing SAP. We are very complementary to SAP. So you have a standard SAP way of working, so which is what I call MRP based, where you have orders and you're running an MRP, and then you have replenishment recommendation that are then given to the suppliers. It's blocked. It's not moving anymore. Takes some time. And what we do is that we are, so Flowlity is on top of, oh wow, then it's changing all the. Flowlity is based on top of SAP. We are integrating data from SAP, and we are running on Microsoft Azure. We are analyzing all the data that we are receiving, feeding our modules, and then we are sending back the information to SAP so that SAP can also provide better recommendations and better results. And so what we do is that we are sending back safety stocks, purchase requisitions, and we are directly giving to the supplier a better sales forecast. And basically, this continuous feedback loop is going to make sure that we are getting better and better in terms of inventory management. So that's it. Just a last note to finish. So McKinsey, just after the COVID, it was in September or October, they published a very long and very interesting study, and they said this. I mean, they were thinking about how we should organize our companies after the COVID situation. And they said, digitization of the end-to-end supply chain will help businesses eliminate inefficiencies, improve responsiveness, and dramatically reduce overall supply chain costs. And basically what it means that the companies that will be able to survive or thrive after this COVID thing are the companies that will be able to automate and think about end-to-end supply chain connection, basically. So what we want to do is position Danone as the winner of this new normal, and so that's why we have started this partnership, and we are going to continue this partnership. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. We have one question. What kind of stock types are you not able to forecast now?
So at Danone, we are focusing on really raw materials, so raws and packs. But for other customers, we are doing other type of inventory. So we do finished products, finished goods. It depends. So there is not really types of products that we cannot forecast. We are very much, let's say, everything that is made to stock basically is a sweet spot for us. That's basically it.
Okay. What business model do you foresee for Flowlity?
Well, it's not even foreseen. I mean, we are working, so we are a SaaS company, so there is a license fee every month that our customers are paying. This license fee is depending on the scope we are working with. So basically, the very simple and classical model in that regards. What is important is that Flowlity is very much value driven. Compared to what exists in the market, we are not binding because the customers that work with us are sticking with us because of the value we bring, and because we give the best forecast and we actually bring something to their bottom line, and they are sticking with us because of that, and that's what we want to do. So there is no binding contract with Flowlity; it's just value based.
Okay. Okay, one more and last question. What kind of automatization does Flowlity have? What needs human operator to do?
Yes, it's a very good question. So what we do is that we'll be able to automate a lot of things, but we'll need users and planners to give some inputs. Let me take an example. So for example, when a new product is introduced, new product introduction, end of life, promotions, all these kind of events that are business driven and that are impacting the sales, for example, are very useful inputs that we need to receive from the planners. And with those, we can learn on it and get better forecast and automate everything that is basically not bringing value. So we are automating a lot of things, but we need also to work in collaboration with the planners to drive the best results. So that's the idea.
No more question?
No more question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I hope everyone enjoy those really nice series of projects and really got a substance of all the work that has been done over the months. So I don't know for you, for the audience, but really for me, all those past months and working with those team has really opened my eyes on the level of the maturity of AI, how AI was reaching really level of applicability for our industry and how we could take advantage for it. And I think it's getting increasingly important that companies like Danone are including this kind of technology in our innovation strategy. And thanks a lot for that to Microsoft and to all our founders here to have contributed to that. So now we are going to try to broadcast a message from our sponsor, Katerina Stenholms. Katerina is our Chief Cycle and Procurement Officer, who is responsible for the global procurement function and the nature sustainability team.
Hello. Today I wanted to talk to you about the food revolution. You have heard us say before that our food system is broken. It is linear, based on a take, make and dispose model. It is optimized for efficiency, to make more with less. And it is exactly that, very efficient, but also vulnerable, as we have seen during the COVID crisis. Our current food system is also linked to a number of problems. There's a staggering fact saying that for every dollar we generate in the food industry, the ecosystem around us incurs $2 in cost. $1 in social cost linked, for example, to healthcare, and another $1 in environmental cost linked to, for example, depletion of our soils. At Danone, we are committed to a paradigm shift towards a circular food system. We want our food system to be regenerative, positive by design, and in line with our One Planet, One Health vision, we want to create food that is healthy not only for people, but also for the planet. To do this, we need partners to scale our impact, but also partners to come up with new ideas. And this is where AI for Agrifood fits in. You have been working with us to solve problems linked to agriculture, logistics, quality, and food waste reduction. I look very much forward to see the outcomes of the 3-month AI factory powered by Microsoft and Danone. I'm sure we will see cool ideas, crazy solutions about to become breakthrough innovations. But I also want all of you to know that you have not been working with us only on these isolated problems. You are partnering us in something much bigger, and that is leading the food revolution towards food that is healthy for people and healthy for the planet. Thank you very much for your contribution.
I know you can hear us, but the technology was not with us to have you live into this sequence. And I also want, really in your name, as you were just texting me, to extend your congratulations to the Danone team. Obviously, today was a day of pitching for the startup, and the scene and the showcase is really, as usual, more for the startup. But we also want to congratulate the Danone team that work hand in hand and that you didn't see on the screen today, and who got so involved into all those projects. So I really want to call on Anko, Axel, Sarah, Kessian, and Sad in Morocco from our cycle teams and farm teams. We have Niels, Robert, Pedro, Anna, and Stephanie, hopefully also on the call from the operation team, as well as Radek in quality. So really congrats to all of them. Thank you for contributing to with the startup to the food revolution that we are so much advocate for in Danone, and this whole idea to reset the food system in a better shape. Last word on my side. It may feel like it's the end of the program today, but really it's not the end of the journey, hopefully. Sorry to all our Danone stakeholders and decision makers that are on the line. This, what you heard was really the 7-minute appetizer from all of the startups. Really, the team are gonna invite you for a full debrief in the days to come, and really to agree on the next phase of deployment for all those projects within Danone. So I trust you are hungry for it, and we really look forward to be with you on that. And for all the non-Danone and non-Microsoft audience here, hopefully those speeches have also inspired you. So please, because we really want to help the startup to grow, we really welcome you to book a networking slot immediately after this sequence and get introduction with the startups and plan for your next meeting. Or in any case, reach out through LinkedIn or whatever means, reach out to us if you want to connect with them. And now I pass on to Laura to give the final conclusion before the networking. Laura?
Yes, final conclusion. So to finish this great event, I wanted to thank all the other partners involved in this acceleration. EIT Foods Venture, Faber Novel, and Rkha. I wanted to particularly thank the core team of Danone. Of course, we worked with you during more than 4 months, so in particular Solène, Damien, and Mathieu. Thank you for your engagement, your determination to make it work. You really managed to involve the right people internally despite the complexity of the organization of Danone. And despite the variety of the topics you had to handle with the startups, so big kudos. And you managed to keep every business expert focused until the end. So yes, it's great, and big congrats to our 6 amazing startups. They knew how to adapt themselves, how to work with 2 corporates, and we know the challenges that this represents. You all played the game until the end, and you all grown up, and you knew how to face the particular health context we are passing through. So bravo. And just to conclude, the journey doesn't end here, as Damien said. So the startups, they will continue to work with Danone and the identified project, and they will also become Microsoft partners and be followed up by our local team as real partners. So thank you, everyone. I let the final word maybe to Pauline.
Thank you all. So for this, we booked a networking session. Enjoy your discussion. It will start from now. Thank you a lot. Bye-bye. Have a great day.